Welcome back to Open. I'm your host, Cristina Pagan. Youth Voices is a school-based social network that was started in 2003 by a group of National Writing Project teachers. This summer, high school students, along with high school teachers, used reading, writing, and digital media to find and explore their passions through academic inquiry. Through a partnership with BronxNet, the summer 2014 workshop was documented and will be shared on multi-platforms. Here to tell us more is co-facilitator of Youth Voices, Paul Allison, and Christy Kingham. Welcome.
Thank you.
So can you give us a little history about Youth Voices and the New York City Writing Project?
History of Youth Voices. Well, you said when it started, so it's been 10, 11 years now. We were a group of teachers from across the country in the National Writing Project in local sites, and we had our own blog systems in our classes, but we thought, it'd be great if we were all in the same system, so that's how it started. So it's a blogging system, but many schools, there are about 15 in the city and about 15 throughout the country that work together, producing curriculum together, but also mainly it's a youth space where young people produce things and have discussions about things they produce.
What kind of things do they produce? What is the focus?
It's pretty open, actually. It's anything from a poem to an inquiry project, and they're called discussions. So that's open up for discussion. So a student will post something, and then other students have an opportunity to comment on what's been posted. It could be anything from a 6-word memoir, which is just 6 words with an image accompanying it, to this summer they did a lot of writing about articles they read on a topic of interest.
Okay, and so how did we get involved? How did BronxNet become involved with this project, and you guys? Nobody knows?
Well, no, we were part of the New York City Writing Project, which has been here, over 30 years now. And a lot of what we do on Youth Voices is connected with what we've learned through the New York City Writing Project. And in writing projects, teachers come together on college campuses during the summertime and do a lot of writing, become writers themselves again, and then think about how that impacts that classroom. And Lehman is the place where the New York City Writing Project is. And then through our connections here at Lehman, we found BronxNet and thought that would be a great connection. So we, through Hive, made connections, and half of our students spent 2 days a week working with BronxNet, and they're producing a couple of shows, as I understand. So
our youth coordinator, Marissa White, tells me that there will be 2 episodes of Open 2.0, special episodes of Open 2.0 that we're in post on, so they're not quite ready yet, but they're coming.
I think it was like a logical connection, too, just to add on to what Paul was saying, because BronxNet does a lot of work with youth, and so once we realized we were both here, it made so much sense for us to work together.
Right, we have our own youth channel and our Emmy-nominated show, Open 2.0, for our young people. So, but I have a question of what is connected learning? I have in my description here, Youth Voices Connected Learning Program. How is that different from anything else that you are involved in? Connected
learning is public learning, and so far as it's usually has some digital component, and making connections from across the room to across the country with student to student and teacher to student and teacher to teacher. And I don't know if you have anything more technical.
One of the key principles is that is appropriate on this show especially, is that it's openly networked. So Youth Voices, when students post on it, it immediately goes up online, it's open. There are a lot of teachers and administrators making sure things are cool, but it's immediately open, and anybody can go and comment. If you're not a member, it gets queued and we look at it. So there are protections built in, but being open is really important. Another part of it is peer-to-peer interaction is important. And then a third principle that I think is important, at least in our work, is cross-generational. We haven't mentioned that yet, but we had 17 young people and 6 teachers working together in the same room this summer, similarly last summer. And the teachers were not teachers in the room. They were older, more experienced, peers, really in a big way.
What's the reaction been amongst teachers and students and with these kinds of programs?
I think, it's my turn. It's been everything from a really big life experience working through frustrations, because there's a lot of digital literacy that comes along with what we're doing just naturally. We're bringing all sorts of platforms to them and different ways of reading, writing, and really thinking. And so as we all know, we've all worked with digital platforms that are frustrating, but working through that frustration is something for life for our students and for the teachers involved. So that's like one little reaction, but mostly I think the reaction has been a broadening and an opening up for them in terms of ways to research and ways to be public with their work, and how to feel comfortable and okay with that, and that nothing is finished, everything is in process, and it's okay to get feedback as you're going.
I'm very intrigued. You said intergenerational working together, and how the teachers really weren't teachers, they were peers, just older peers. Like, how do these young students then interact? How does someone stop being a teacher and be a peer at the generational gap?
Well, I think I'll jump in.
You can keep going.
I think the teachers the first few days really struggled with it more than the students did. The students were just fine giving the teachers advice and showing them how to do things. But I think, all of our teachers are working on being more of a coach to students and less of a teacher in front of the classroom. So this is a good exercise for them in that way, letting go of the power or the control of the whole entire room, and just being there in the room with students learning alongside them. So for the teachers, it took a few days, but then afterwards they said that was the most meaningful part for them, was having an opportunity to just be with the students, and it helped them grow in a way they didn't expect.
Fantastic. So what are we expecting to see then in these episodes of Open 2.0 here on BronxNet? What can we expect to see?
Oh, I think the first show is really about who we are and where we come from and what we're all about. And we've just said a lot of that already here.
Right.
But then we're hoping to put together the students who are working on this and BronxNet who's working on this, what's going to happen because of this experience is going to be documented as well, we hope. And the summertime is a great experience for a lot of people, both the students and for us. I think I learned how to be a better teacher just by facilitating this, but then the question is, how do you bring that back to your school, and your which are very different spaces. So,
do you have a favorite anecdote, an experience from this program that you can share? You're
I
on
guess
the spot, go ahead.
no, that's okay. I think there's a student that we have who he wrote a piece from the perspective. His research was about the effects of nuclear warfare in World War II, and we don't give them topics; they get to choose. It's everything from what I just mentioned to how do you become happy was the student's question. So this particular student, he wrote a piece from the point of view of somebody who is Japanese, and he did all this research about the names of the time and the locations, and magically wrote this piece that took us all to 1940 something. I'm not going to get that year wrong. I'm an English teacher, so I don't need to know dates. But he took us all there, and we were all in the room sitting around doing a read around. So part of the New York City Writing Project and Youth Voices is that you do a read around in a circle of a piece that you're proud of. And so in that read around, he read his work out loud, and I think all of us were literally transported to Japan to experience in the eyes of this Japanese citizen who had suffered the effects of a nuclear bomb.
Wow.
And for me, that was a moment where I didn't even know how deep he had gone in his research. We give them a lot of independence, and we check in with them and coach them about things that they need. But I didn't know how deep he'd gone in his research, and to hear what he had accomplished in that time was really amazing.
That's pretty fantastic. How does someone get involved in the Youth Voices and the Writing Project?
Probably through students would get involved. Anybody could join, but students mainly get involved through their teachers. The teacher organizes the class to work together, and you would connect up here at Lehman with the New York City Writing Project. And could I mention one?
Sure.
And it's not one time, but there were several times. I would say over About half of our students are recently in this country. One of our students was just here since April. So watching those young people struggle with and see the amazing advances they made just in 3 weeks with English was an amazing part of it too. But a big part of that they pointed out was the respect given everybody in the room. So that we had students who are very advanced, very good writers, becoming seniors in high school next year. And students like I just described who have been here a short amount of time, but being able to work together across those differences was an important part of what I saw this summer.
That sounds wonderfully gratifying.
Yeah.
And any closing remarks? Anything that you feel like you've learned this summer, particularly?
That it's all just beginning. Yeah, I'm really excited to keep working with the writing project and Youth Voices and to see what all the students we are with this summer are doing. I know a few of them are continuing on this fall to work with BronxNet, so I'm just really happy about those relationships.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll find out how one organization empowers the veteran community. Stay tuned.